Hey there, fellow Reddit enthusiasts. If you love diving into intriguing Reddit stories, you'll want to stick around till the end. We've got a captivating one lined up for you today. For this video, we're delving into the fascinating world of relationships, so buckle up for a deep dive into some compelling stories. Found out she was cheating on me on Christmas Eve. I'm not sure how long this post will be. I just want to say what happened in the hopes that it will make me feel even a little bit better and provide some catharsis. Some quick background first. My now ex-wife and I had been together for 6 years and were married in February of this year. I thought we were a fantastic couple. We did a lot of things together. I always endeavored to be a consistently interesting person. I took her on random dates to new places and peppered little romantic gestures every now and then. About 4 to 5 months ago, after becoming upset over the lack of friends in her life aside from me, she met a new group of friends through an online meetup group. I was super supportive of this, since one person alone shouldn't be your only source of happiness. Anyway, a month or so passes, and there seemed to be one guy in the group she began to spend more and more time with. Admittedly, I got a bit jealous, but I thought, what the hell? I trusted her completely and she's entitled to friends. I wasn't prepared to interfere in that. Weeks pass and now she is going around to his house, which he shared with other housemates. She would apparently play board games with this guy and the other housemates, and would occasionally send me pictures of what she was up to there, which helped allay some of concerns. However, by this point, red flags were beginning to pop up all over the place, and my gut was telling me something wasn't right. She would spend most evenings texting this guy on her phone. She'd take her phone into the shower with her. Also, on multiple nights, she would say she was tired and that she was going to bed early. Yet I'd go in to grab something from the bedroom a couple of hours later and see her still lay awake on her phone, probably talking to this guy. By this point, I was feeling extremely uncomfortable with the situation. I thought the amount of time she was spending at this guy's house, particularly after spending a day out with him, was beyond inappropriate. So I decided to speak to her. I told her my concerns and that I didn't mind her being friends with this guy, but she needed to rein it in. She accused me of being jealous and needy. She told me that she enjoyed spending time with this guy and that they had a lot in common. Fast forward another week or so. She tells me she's going into town to find a present for her niece and leaves. My gut was telling me she was lying. Now, I knew where this guy lived, because I actually dropped him off after a night out one night. So I went to his house. My heart dropped into my stomach when I saw her car parked outside. I began hyperventilating and panicking. I felt drunk as I walked back to my car. On the drive home, I was crying uncontrollably. I was so out of it, I almost had an accident after running a red light. When I got back, I tried to regain my composure. I paced for a while and started to calm down. Not long afterward, she called me. I asked her how her day was, and she said it was good, but she wasn't able to find a present for her niece. I wonder why. I told her to come home immediately. She asked why, and I said I needed to speak to her. When she came through the door, I asked her if she really had been into town to look for presents. She continued her pretense and lied again. I told her I knew where she'd been. Her expression turned from confusion to shock instantly. She sat down and explained to me that she'd just been around there for coffee and a chat. I asked her why she lied to me, and she said that she didn't want to compound my jealousy and insecurity. I'm still stunned that she said this. What could compound insecurity more than lying about your whereabouts and going to another man's house? She insisted that nothing at all happened, that she was considering my feelings and just wanted to be with her friend without me worrying what she was doing. Well, like the idiot I am, I believed her. By this point, I was certain that I was being needlessly jealous and clingy. Little did I know that she was gaslighting me. Yet another week passes and I'm in work. She texts me to ask if it's okay with me to go around to this guy's house again after she finishes work for a coffee. She finished work a few hours before me, so I thought fine, I won't be home anyway, and told her to go for it. Later that day, whilst I was sat in traffic on the way home from work, I get another text. This time she tells me she's stopping over at his for dinner. I became incensed. I blew up at her over text, telling her I didn't want her to come back tonight and for her to just stay there. I told her that by this point it was clearly an emotional affair at the very least. She asked me why I was doing this, and I told her that I'd been putting with this for 2 months now and that the whole situation was making me feel constantly nauseous, and that something was seriously wrong, for my gut was screaming at me. She pleaded with me to let her come home so we could talk. I said no and didn't speak to her again until the following night. Like the idiot I am, I texted her saying I'd made a massive error of judgment and that she could come home. When she came back, she told me that I'd seriously damaged our relationship and that she doesn't know if she could trust me again. I wanted so hard to tell her that's exactly what she did by lying a week prior, but I bit my tongue, chalking it down to my jealousy issues arising again. I apologized for my actions and things slowly started to go back to normal, or so I thought. Around December 20th, she tells me that she was going to go to her sister's late on Christmas Eve to spend time there on Christmas Day with her and her niece and nephew. However, she wanted to spend a good couple of days with me first, and wanted us to spend the 23rd and 24th together, with that being our Christmas. I was upset that she wouldn't be here on Christmas Day, but I respected her wishes and went through with it. Those 2 days ended up being really nice. We cooked Christmas dinner together, made some snacks, watched Netflix, and snuggled. I enjoyed it so much. She was due to head off to her sister's at around 6 on Christmas Eve. I helped her pack a few things, but all of a sudden I had a realization about something. She told me her sister was due back home at around 5:30 because she was going shopping, but I also remembered that this guy finished work around 6. Immediately, my suspicion kicked into overdrive, but I tried to kick it back down. She wouldn't go to his house on Christmas Eve. She wouldn't be so callous as to leave me over Christmas, would she? I decided to once again ignore my gut and put it down to jealousy and insecurity. If I accused her of potentially doing such a thing, I could have jeopardized the relationship, so I sucked it up. Before she left, I surprised her with a few presents. They were all things I knew she'd love. She said she felt really guilty because she couldn't afford to get me anything this year. I said it was okay, and that I bought them her, not because I expected something in return, but because I loved her and wanted her to have them. We kissed and she said goodbye. That was the last time I'll hopefully ever see her. A few hours after she left, I remembered I had to respond to an email, so I jumped on Gmail. Only she had left herself logged in on the computer. What I found absolutely crushed me. For whatever reason, she had downloaded the WhatsApp chat between herself and the other guy onto her Gmail. I opened it and read through. This had been going on for almost 2 months. What started out as light flirting descended into sexting. She was saying how she loved being with him and cuddling on his sofa when they watched a film. She said how she would send him dirty pictures if it'd motivate him to get home sooner. She requested pictures of him, videos of him showing off and masturbating. He sent her prick pics and she'd sent him who knows how many nudes. This goes on for weeks. At the beginning of December, they apparently slept together. What's doubly gut-wrenching is the fact that, judging by the timestamps, she was saying how much she enjoyed it during a time I was sat in the living room with her. Towards the end of the messages, which ended around December 18th, they were both saying how they can't wait to be together. The guy even said she should steal my PC and VR headset before she goes because he wants to play it. Her response was, haha. At this point, I was suffering a massive emotional breakdown. In the midst of it all, I decided to check her location history through Google, and it confirmed my suspicions. She was at his house that very moment. She left me on Christmas Eve to be with this guy. To add yet more salt to the wound, I scrolled down her emails and found that she'd ordered a t-shirt for this guy as a Christmas present, despite telling me she couldn't afford to buy me anything. There was no doubt in my mind now that this relationship was finished. I called her to tell her I knew what was going on, but before I did, I asked her where she was, to see if she'd finally fess up. She told me that she couldn't deal with this mistrust anymore, and that she was at her sister's. She lied to me and convinced me I was the one in the wrong right up until the end. I told her about the conversations she'd been having with this guy, how she gaslighted me and caused a massive emotional breakdown. Despite seeing me in such a state, she continued to lie to me and offered me no support. The woman I'd supported for 7 years through some dark times offered me nothing in return at a time I'd needed her the most. As I was saying all this, she remained mostly silent, with only an occasional "I know" coming through. I ended the call telling her I never wanted to see her again. I also discovered through her WhatsApp exchange that she'd told her sister what was going on, and her sister said nothing to me. She remained complicit in the whole thing. I just can't believe it. What a disgraceful family. Yesterday, I packed all of her shit into bags and simply left it in the garden for her to collect whenever she wants. I haven't damaged any of her property, though it took a Herculean effort not to. I am better than that. Right now, I'm in a very dark place. I cry seemingly at random with just minor triggers. I've been having what I think are panic attacks. My heart beats really fast when I lie in bed. I feel constantly sick. I even woke up twice a couple of nights ago, panic-stricken and in a state of confusion that she was in the house and looking for me. I am utterly devastated and broken. I am hoping to move on from this, but I'm scared it will taint all future relationships and that this betrayal will haunt me for the rest of my life. She's ruined me. Firstly, let's acknowledge the emotional turmoil you've endured. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy, heart-wrenching, dramatic, and, dare I say, a bit absurd. You, the unsuspecting protagonist, tossed into a narrative you never signed up for, a soliloquy of betrayal, if you will. Your ex-wife, the deceptive character with a penchant for theatrics, playing the lead in this twisted plot, lies upon lies, a secret affair staged behind the curtains of her supposed innocence. One can almost imagine the audience gasping at every revelation, secretly hoping for a plot twist that doesn't shatter your soul. And then, the supporting cast. her sister, complicit in the charade, a silent conspirator in this Shakespearean tragedy. The irony of familial bonds crumbling amidst the wreckage of deception. But fear not, dear protagonist, for even in the darkest acts of the play, there lies a glimmer of hope. As you packed her belongings, resisting the urge to unleash a Shakespearean fury upon them, you demonstrated resilience, a silent vow to rise above the drama, to pen your own destiny. As you navigate this emotional labyrinth, remember that the stage is vast, and your story doesn't end here. You may feel like you're playing a part in a tragedy, but in the grand theater of life, you're the director of your own narrative. So, as you untangle yourself from the script of betrayal, remember that each act of self-love is a step toward a brighter denouement. Your heart may bear the scars of this theatrical ordeal, but it's a resilient muscle, capable of healing and crafting new tales. In the grand Shakespearean tradition, tragedies pave the way for comedies, and the curtain falls only to rise again. Your story is still unfolding, and who knows, the next act might bring unexpected joy, laughter, and a new cast of characters worthy of your stage. Bravely march forward, for your life is a play of many acts, and the final scene is yet to be written. It's that time again. We're transitioning to the community comments. Keep those thoughts coming, and let's make this discussion even more interesting. User Foreman. No need to apologize for the length of your post. It's important to get these feelings out. I went through what you're going through over a year ago, and I made the mistake of continuing to confide in my ex-wife. If you share these feelings with her, you're likely to only receive excuses, half-truths, and dismissal of your very valid feelings. The thing I've learned about cheaters in my time since is that they're often manipulators, narcissists, and likely to suffer from a plethora of emotional issues. Very few cheaters are emotionally developed. With some time, you will likely realize this about this woman you loved. What to take from this? It's not your fault. Don't let her convince you that your actions or inactions made her cheat. This is the most common pitfall I would warn all victims if I could. It's going to take you time to detach from her, and it's going to be difficult. She is already steps ahead of you in this, and that is her fault. She didn't give you the opportunity to close the relationship properly, and the fallout is completely devastating to the victim. I wish I could sugarcoat that. You seem strong though, but if you waver, when you have that moment of weakness and consider asking for reconciliation, please remember how easily this person lied to you. Remember how little regard she had for your feelings and how selfish she was to take the easy way out instead of confronting any issues with you. It's cliché, but time will make it better. While you might feel future relationships will be tarnished because of this selfish person, there is a silver lining. Now that you've experienced the betrayal and hurt of her failure, you will also be better at preventing a repeat situation. You should now understand to trust your gut. You'll have less tolerance for bullshit. You'll understand the true unconditional nature of real love. Don't let her actions rule your world. She blew it, not you. And no affair is going to fill the void that she felt. In fact, it's very likely the cycle will repeat until she addresses her own issues. Stay strong, friend. User involuntary void. I'm going through much of the same as you right now. Found out 2 weeks ago that my STBXU has been cheating for the last year and a half with a coworker. I've been suspicious of him the whole time, but constantly convinced myself that it's just me being insecure. Probably a bit of gaslighting from her too, but I never directly accused her of anything up until that day 2 weeks ago. There are plenty of other people on here who have made it through to the other side after things like this, but if you ever want to chat to someone going through the same thing, shoot me a message. What you said about little things triggering breakdowns and waking up in the night are spot on for me too. I'm really sorry you're going through this. It truly is something I'd never wish on anyone. User Kev Magno. I see so many similarities between your situation and my own. I feel for you, and I wish this hadn't happened to you. It was about a year ago that my ex started her emotional affair with a coworker, then manifested for months without my knowledge. Though like you, I had suspicions. Again, our situations are incredibly similar. I wish I could give you words of advice, but I sadly have none. Not a lot has gotten better for me in the past 4 months since the breakup. Only thing that's changed is I no longer cry, though I wish I could, and it really kills. I hope things get better for you. Ready for the next adventure? Let's jump into our next story, and don't forget to hit that like button if you're as excited as I am to explore what comes next. My wife 39F finally confessed to cheating on holiday, and I 35M can't get it out of my head. We've been together 11 years, married for 1, beginning of December, 3 beautiful young children. Life was good. I'd been working away for 3 years, but was always home on a weekend or had a long weekend, Thursday to Monday. Thought everything was going well. In April, I started to see some cracks at home with the Mrs. not coping with 3 young kids. Understandable. So I looked at alternative roles nearer to home, and at the beginning of October, I was able to come home to a role that suited us all. 3 days after I started my new job, she went on holiday to Vegas with the girls for 5 nights, Thursdays to Tuesdays. We talked every day, with the kids, and she seemed to be having a fab time. I was so chuffed for her having a blast as she needed it. On Saturday night, I had a strange feeling about her, but we'd spoken and all seemed fine, so I tried to disregard it. However, it didn't actually go away. She got home Tuesday morning and I was at work. I finished normal time and got home as quick as I could, but the Saturday feeling was still there, so I wasn't sure what I was walking into. We kissed, hugged, but she felt distant. Prob the jet lag and the holiday come down. Kids went to bed and we talked about Vegas. She gave me a breakdown V0 and we went to bed. She woke me up in floods of tears on Wednesday morning, 1 a.m. V1 had said she'd been tempted in Vegas by a guy who had given her some attention, wanted to kiss him, have intercourse, but she didn't. She had wrestled with this dilemma on Saturday night, so that's why I felt something. But this means she isn't happy at home and isn't sure she wants to be with me. She did nothing but chat, WhatsApp, with this person. I was shocked, stunned, floored. Expected it to be holiday blues, so persevered in this limbo. She told some friends, I told 2 of mine, all of whom were in shock. So out of character for her. After 2 weeks and lots of talking, she said she wanted to work out why she was unhappy and rebuild the relationship, but something wasn't right with her story as far as I was concerned. If she had wrestled with having feelings for this guy, why did she message him on the Sunday asking to meet for a drink? She knew it was wrong, hence the wrestling. As far as I'm concerned, she picked him over me and her family. Cheating is simply not acceptable, as she had been cheated on in her first marriage. For 2 months, I questioned her about her story, trying to make it make sense, but it never did. Her story: arrived on Thursday, met him on Friday, swapped numbers as his friend had cracked on with her friend, but her friend didn't have roaming. Bits of comms on Saturday for her friend and his to meet up. Sunday, messaged him to meet them for a drink as he was in his hotel room alone. He didn't reply. There was more to the story and I got to breaking point. Told her if that story is accurate, then I don't believe her, and we can't be together if I think she's lying. She went for a drive, came back and asked me what I wanted to know. I told her everything. V2, arrived Thursday, met him on Friday, drinking all afternoon. He joined them for Lionel Richie concert. This is new. Previously, only her friend's guy had been there. All 4 girls and the 2 guys went back to the guy's hotel room. Guy asked to kiss her again. She said no, but she wanted to. Here's her friend having intercourse in the bedroom and leaves because it got too much for her. The other 2 girls stayed drinking, tossed and turned on Friday night over the fact that the feelings were even there for another man. Saturday, regular comms throughout the day, but the girls had plans, so was just convo. Girls went out Saturday night to a club, but jet lag had kicked in for her, so she went to bed. Her guy was messaging her, but she was sleeping. She woke about 2 a.m., saw his message, and he was in the casino downstairs, so she went down to meet him. Stayed for a couple hours, laughing, joking, arms around each other. Sunday, regular comms with him again. Towards end of the day, invited him for a drink as she knew he was in hotel room alone. No response. Monday, he suggested they delete numbers and leave it alone. She didn't want to though. So with V2 out of the way, it made more sense. This is plausible. She was having a holiday romance, but I still didn't feel like it was all out there. However, I was able to deal with V2. I could process that, and it wasn't pretty, but it was bearable. A week later, I sent her a message whilst at work. You lied repeatedly to me. He didn't go to Lionel with you. You didn't go to his hotel room. You didn't spend any one-on-one time together. I tell you everything whether you like it or not. If you can't do the same to me, then we can't continue. I get home, we are chilling on the sofa, and she asks why I sent her the message. I told her why. We need to be able to talk, and we always have done so. This is no different. Let me make a decision. Don't try and control my life by lying to me. I don't do that to you. She tells me there's more. V3, the same as V2. But after their meal on Sunday, the girls went back to their hotel room to pack. She tells the girls she's going to say bye to him and goes to his hotel room. They start talking, then start kissing. Things get hot quickly. Her dress comes up and her knickers come down. He starts her, but then she gets a sudden flash of clarity and tells him to stop, says bye and leaves, goes back to her hotel room and throws up, disgusted with herself. The whole ordeal took about 15 minutes. I'd always suspected the kissing, but not the knickers down. I have to graft for intercourse, and here she is giving it away to the first guy who says she looks fit. I am devastated. She'd wanted to have intercourse with this guy on Friday, but on Sunday night, she was prepared to do it. She lied repeatedly, has been putting on a front that I could easily see through. It's so out of character. No one knows about V3, apart from you, as it would kill off any friends she has. They would be absolutely disgusted by her. Some of them are already, and they only know about V1. V3 was confessed a week ago today. Some moments I am okay with it, but others I can't look at her. She has said sorry, but the icing on the cake is we found out she's going through menopause, so her emotions are all over the place. I know she's sorry, but she isn't showing me. I know she doesn't expect me to stay with her, as she wouldn't if I had done this. My body betrays me as I still find her attractive and I still want to have intercourse with her. We had been having some intercourse between Oct and last week anyway, but she did feel like she was holding back. At this point, I think it's forgivable, and I actually want to forgive her as it's so out of character and menopause does messed up things with your libido and hormones, but I'm scared about being vulnerable with her again. Any advice appreciated. Your wife's Vegas adventure has more layers than a Russian doll, and I'm here with my virtual popcorn to discuss it all. Firstly, Vegas, the city of glittering lights, casinos, and apparently unexpected plot twists. Your wife's vacation took a detour into soap opera territory, didn't it? I mean, who knew a trip to Sin City would involve more drama than an episode of a daytime TV show? Now, let's address the multiple versions of her story. It's like she's testing out different drafts for a novel. V1, V2, V3. It's almost like she's working on a screenplay. Hollywood, take note. But let's not forget the grand reveal, the V3 bombshell. The sudden clarity, the dress coming up, the knickers going down. It's like the climax of a blockbuster movie. If only there was a red carpet for these confessions. Now, as for the menopause twist, that's a curveball even the most seasoned soap opera writers wouldn't see coming. Menopause, the silent antagonist, wreaking havoc on emotions and libidos. Classic. In all seriousness, finding forgiveness after such a roller coaster is no easy feat. Vulnerability becomes a high-stakes game. It's like deciding whether to bet it all on red or black in a Vegas casino. High risk, high reward. But, my friend, you're at a crossroads, and forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. It's about rebuilding trust, and it's perfectly okay to be scared. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It's a testament to your strength. Now let's shift our focus to the comments section and see what our fantastic community has to say about this. Your insights always add an extra layer to the conversation. User Commander Casserole. Something that may be unhelpful, but perhaps true. She already felt guilty and lied about it multiple times. How do you know the current story is correct? Lots of people who cheat paint themselves in the most positive light possible. She's given you a slow drip of escalating information, implying that protecting herself is more important than your relationship. She obviously wanted to confess to some degree, but not enough to come out and tell you the full story. So now you have the full story. But unless she came out and told you from the start, then you will never know. The point is that at this time, getting the full honest story doesn't even matter. She may well have told you everything. But even if not, getting the full truth wouldn't exactly be helpful. She was willing to lie to protect herself. You may have the honest rundown, but she still is willing to lie and make decisions about your shared relationship on her own. Can you accept this? And can she recognize why this is hugely problematic? User Emotionally NumbaBOP replies, "Thank you for your response. We talked about this precise point at length. Part of me is waiting for V4 of the story. The other part of me doesn't want to know anymore. If there is more, that will unequivocally spell the end. I will never know what actually happened out there, so if I want to be with her, which for some reason I do, then I must trust that she has finally told me everything. I can see it had been eating her up inside, and she is definitely more herself since telling me. Time will tell, I guess." User Emotionally NumBOP. My main struggle with it is she was conflicted on Friday, tossing and turning over the feelings, but continued to contact him. She knew it was wrong then, but proceeded anyway. If all of this had happened on Friday, meet, kiss, I'd have understood as no real thought went into it, but she mulled it over. Drunk or not, this is a real issue for me. All right, folks, it's time to shift gears and dive into our next compelling story. Buckle up for another journey into the unexpected twists of Reddit tales. Ladies, please don't allow yourself to be the witness to someone else's Christmas proposal while you've been waiting for your own for years. Hello, everyone. Let me start off by saying, I understand a lot of women get eaten alive from posting experiences like this on Reddit, but I feel as though I have no one to listen to in real life that will take me seriously. Even if everyone hates me on here, I am still thankful for the opportunity to let my feelings out regardless. My partner and I have been together for 3 years and have lived in our apartment for a year and a half. I was very hesitant on living with him early on in our relationship because I absolutely and without a doubt knew I did not want to be in a relationship for 10 plus years with no engagement ring. I've heard of and seen it happen so many times I was terrified it would happen to me. Yet I did not want to end our relationship by not moving in with him. He actually did promise me that we would be engaged before living together, but he got a job offer in another city almost 2 hours away and begged me to come live with him because after living so close together for the beginning part of our relationship, he did not want and couldn't bear to even have a semi-long distance relationship with me and said he would consider ending it if I did not move with him because the situation would be too much for him to handle. My boyfriend has been promising an engagement by Christmas, in his own words, for the past 2 years now. All throughout last year, 2021, he kept going on and on how he was saving for this awesome engagement ring and kept bragging about how I was going to love it because he took all the notes on what type of ring I loved and promised to follow through. Again, these were his words coming out of his mouth. I did not give him any ultimatums or tell him what he was going to do for me. That was in June. Come Christmas Eve time last year, he sat me down and very gently told me that there wasn't going to be any engagement rings secretly hanging on the tree or hiding in my stocking, because the ring he wanted to get for me wasn't on sale anymore and had gone back up in price, so he needed to save for it even longer. He promised he would definitely have it by next Christmas, and how he had this very special Christmas proposal planned for me because I deserved a great proposal. Again, his words, not mine. As we all know, today is Christmas Eve, and I assume you all know what must have happened. Otherwise, I would not be depressed and drinking myself to death because I just do not know if I could go on, yet again, another full year with false promises of a Christmas proposal. But here's the good part. That extremely romantic Christmas proposal happened to my lifelong best friend instead of me. Here I am pretending to be happy for her while hiding my depression from everyone else. Hence the drinking that I suggested as a means of celebration. How it happened, given how my boyfriend promised that my proposal was going to happen this year, I was so excited Christmas Eve day and heading down to the Christmas tree. It's important to note that my best friend 29F and her boyfriend, now fiancé 32M, are staying with us because my boyfriend and I already celebrated Christmas with our families, and our friends live rather far away from theirs. So the past few years we celebrate Christmas Eve and/or Christmas Day, or a few days right before Christmas together. I made an absolute fool of myself right off the bat because there was a beautiful arrangement of flowers sitting right underneath the tree with balloons and all. The flowers were arranged in a miniature Christmas sleigh that had my best friend's name written on it. At first I thought they were for me as part of my proposal, until I read her name on them instead. A delivery was made the other day, and both my boyfriend and my best friend's now fiancé wanted to keep the package a secret, and kept it hidden in the basement and told us not to peek, otherwise it could ruin a surprise. We both agreed and kept our distance from the basement. As it turns out, the surprise was intended for her, not for me. Next to the flowers was a stuffed reindeer with what looked like a Christmas tree ornament around its neck. Inside was a beautiful speech written to her about how much he loves her, exactly why he loves her, how Christmas means so much to them, and all that beautiful stuff. What hurts even more is that they have been together for less than 2 years. I know it's not important in the grand scheme of things, but someone might as well stab icicles into my face because that's how much pain I am in waiting every year for a proposal. She's crying before she finishes reading, and behind her is her boyfriend on his knee with the engagement ring. She instantly jumps into his arms and screams, "Yes!" And there is my boyfriend standing right beside me, recording the entire scene on their phone. The ring was beautiful and would make anyone say wow to top it off. He had it custom made with an emerald, his birthstone, and her birthstone, ruby. So it was perfectly Christmas themed and had December 24th, 2022, engraved on the inside of the band along with their initials. Of course, the couple couldn't contain their happiness for the rest of the day, and of course, I can't blame them one bit. To make matters worse, I saved up to buy my boyfriend a gorgeous leather jacket that he desperately wanted all year, and told me how happy he was with his gift while I get a scarf from the drugstore. I know it was from the drugstore because we were just in there a couple days ago, and I noticed that exact scarf. That day, he told me he had to go back to the store. And now I know that's exactly what he went back to get all because I said it was cute. I spent months planning his gift, and he doesn't even take 2 minutes to plan mine. I was drinking all day today just to try and numb my feelings. To make everything even worse, my boyfriend, I really resent calling him that now instead of my fiancé, kept saying things like, "Look at how happy they are, their relationship looks wonderful, and maybe that will be you someday." It really fucking hurt, like someone tore my heart out and chopped it up with a steak knife. I couldn't even eat dinner with them and blamed being too drunk to stomach any food. So, not only did I miss out on Christmas dinner, but it's been almost a full day without anything in my stomach except alcohol. I know that part is entirely my fault. I have no idea what to do going forward, and I know it sounds insane, asking a bunch of strangers online what to do with the rest of my life regarding this relationship. And I really just want to pass out and sleep right now. Stay tuned, because in the upcoming story update, we'll be incorporating more of your opinions. Your perspectives shape the narrative, so keep those comments flowing. Update 2. Ladies, please don't allow yourself to be the witness to someone else's Christmas proposal while you've been waiting for your own for years. When our friends left our apartment on December 27th, my boyfriend immediately accused me of ruining his Christmas because I wouldn't sleep with him. I used sleeping as a polite way to describe he was upset that we didn't have intercourse all throughout Christmas. I told him there was a very good reason for that, and that reason was because I have officially broken up with him both in my mind and in my heart. And I was only keeping things civil with him, so my best friend could properly celebrate her engagement. Guys, I am so glad he never proposed, because after I laid everything out on the table honestly, he turned into one of those angry, rejected men that many of us dread confronting one day. He started swinging his hands and knocking everything off our table and screamed something in my face. I was too upset to listen to him and grabbed my phone and told him I am 1 second away from calling the police if he tries anything stupid. Then after he calms down from acting like an abusive shithead, he plays the guilt card by crying in the living room as I finish packing my things. At this point, I have already called my dad to come pick me up. He's always been afraid of my dad, even more so than the police probably, and told him that if he tries to harm me in any way, that my dad would finish him off himself. Now he's trying to guilt trip me, asking things like, why we need marriage if our relationship is already so good, and what would a piece of paper change anything? Then he accuses me of wanting nothing but a big production, and to be the center of attention with an expensive engagement ring, and how I've been using him to get engaged and all that bullshit garbage I'm sure some of you have used before. Oh yeah, as some of you have requested, I also demanded the jacket back after he accused me of only wanting expensive jewelry. He even had the gall to tell me I was unappreciative of his gift, the drugstore scarf that cost $9.99. Honestly, all I could do was laugh at him. I felt safe doing so because he knew my father was already on the way, and at the same time I had my best friend, the one who stayed over and got engaged on Christmas Eve, on speaker so she could hear everything he had been saying to me. She threatened to call the police as well on my behalf if he tried swinging his arms and breaking anything else. But I told her it was okay because my dad would be there soon. She's known him for 10 years as well, and she laughed and mentioned he had no chance. I also want to use this update as a cautionary tale for people who are, or have been, in similar situations as me. I have been with this man, baby, for 3 years, and he has never acted like this in any way until I rejected him sexually and broke up with him. I'm just very disgusted in him after that, and I have been ignoring every one of his phone calls, and I can happily say I have a safe place in my parents' home. Ladies, put yourself first and these men second. Everything my ex has said to me I have found on other posts in this own sub by women defending these men, and I am very depressed on their behalf. I do, however, wish everyone a happy new year, and I hope that you stick to your timelines if you have one, and leave for your own happiness and mental health if it comes down to it. Please, please stay safe from men like this and all the best. Well, talk about dodging a bullet in the battlefield of romance. Your ex-boyfriend seems to have taken a masterclass in how not to handle rejection, turning into a human tornado of anger, guilt trips, and misplaced accusations. I must say, his dramatic performance deserves a standing ovation in the category of worst reaction to a breakup. Swinging hands, knocking things off tables, and crying in the living room. It's like he's auditioning for a role in a soap opera. Somebody get this man a script, or at least a reality check. And let's not forget the classic guilt-tripping techniques he unleashed. The why do we need marriage anyway argument and the accusation of wanting an expensive engagement ring. Bravo, sir, for hitting all the cliches in one go. It's almost impressive if it weren't so infuriating. Kudos to you for maintaining your composure, maintaining your sense of humor, and having a solid support system in the form of your dad and best friend. The jacket demand is a stroke of genius. After all, who wouldn't want a drugstore scarf as a souvenir from such a delightful encounter? Your cautionary tale is indeed a reminder that self-love should always be the leading role in the drama of relationships. No one deserves to be treated like an emotional punching bag, and your decision to put yourself first is commendable. Here's to a drama-free, guilt-trip-resistant, and absolutely fabulous new year. May your future be filled with better scripts, worthier co-stars, and most importantly, a leading lady who knows she's the star of her own show. Cheers to happiness, sanity, and the glorious freedom from men-child tantrums. Before we dive into the next story, let's take a moment to check out what you, our incredible audience, are saying in the comments. Your opinions truly matter. User Bending College Grad. Piece of advice I've gotten is if someone acts a certain way in public, then very differently at home, they damn well know what they are doing. I feel it applies here. You are right. He was fully aware. Instead of maybe talking about how maybe marriage makes him nervous, or being at all emotionally mature, he kept dangling the carrot on a stick. As time goes on, he will tell the story of his ex who dumped him because he wouldn't propose. The truth is, he made assurances he wouldn't carry out, and he knew it the whole time. User Greenus Thesky. I had a friend who did that to his GF. He kept promising to propose, and 7-8 years went by with no proposal in sight, even though he had planned the whole proposal and the design of the ring. He was waiting for the right time. After such a long wait and seeing everyone around them getting married and having kids, who've been together less years than they had been, she finally left him. He was so shocked, but everyone saw it coming. She was done with it. Thankfully, she's doing great now. User Daughter Earth. Palette cleanser updates at your service. My ex would not get married either, not for over 10 years. I was married 1.5 years after we split. Didn't even expect that or pursue it intentionally, it just worked out that way. It wouldn't have happened if I wasn't freed up to see there are plenty of people out there to love. Interestingly, it was him who broke up with me. I was apparently willing to just keep going as things were. Big lesson to me. When my ex was more willing to move to another country than he was to buy a house, I should have accepted there'd never be a commitment. I'm a lot happier now, so is my ex. The fact we loved each other isn't enough to make a life work together. Beware the sunken cost fallacy, guys. Don't be afraid to move on if your lives are not aligned. We've had some great discussions, and now it's time to move on to our next intriguing story. Get ready for more twists, turns, and unexpected revelations. My 21F boyfriend, 25M, went out with his ex in secret while I was away for Christmas holidays. We've been together 6.5 months. We had the strongest connection since the beginning and said, "I love you both" at the same time after 2 months. He had a 6-year relationship that he broke up with 3 years ago, and then had a 2-year relationship that he broke up with in February 2019. He told me from the beginning that he has contact with them because they're both persons he loved and broke up with both on good terms, but that he was over them both, and I'm the closest thing to a soulmate he's ever experienced. In August, I was in my hometown and we were on LDR. He went out with both exes once, and he told me before meeting and called me both before and after meeting them. He was honest, and he sensed I had some insecurities about this, but I never blamed him for going out with them. I always supported him to be a good friend to them because he's like that as a person, very caring and loving of everyone. So yeah, I never made him feel bad for meeting them, and I told him that I appreciated his honesty when he could have easily hidden it, considering that I was so far away and could have not had a clue that they went out. I told him my ex went out with a girl once that was a friend, but lied the whole time they were together that he was with friends. But it was the time when you could see someone's location on Messenger, and I saw that he was in her town. He confessed and broke my heart because he lied to me, but I stayed with him for 6 more months. When I told this to my now boyfriend, he promised me that he would always be honest even if I didn't like it, and that I had nothing to worry about, he'd never hide anything. Now I went to my hometown for the holidays for 10 days. He was teary-eyed before I left and told me how he's gonna miss me, and how he's so used to us being together, but in a positive way, and that he can't wait for me to come back. When I left, our communication dropped significantly. When all the previous times I had gone to my hometown, we'd talk nonstop on the phone and on Messenger. Now he was suddenly so busy all the time, meeting friends and doing family stuff. I was always having this gut feeling. Something wasn't right, but never thought that he'd meet up with an ex and hide it. I was finally trusting him completely and thinking he was just falling out of love with me. When I came back from the holidays, the very first day he said in a nervous tone, "So 6-year relationship ex's name, saw our story on social media. You know of you and me, and she said that we looked cute." I was kind of confused that he brought it up so suddenly, but I just said, "Okay, that's nice." The next day when he was away and had left his FB open, I couldn't hold myself back. I just wanted to see that she really said that about us. Instead, I found texts of them making plans to meet on Christmas Eve. My heart dropped. He had texted her the very same day that I left on December 20th. "I really want to see you. Want to go for a coffee this week?" She said, "Sure." And he said, "Okay, great. 24th at 11 a.m., so we can have 4 hours together before I go check this apartment out that I'm gonna hire." And they chatted a bit more, then they sent kiss emojis and said, "Okay, see you tomorrow then." On Christmas Eve, he didn't text me at all the whole day until he called me at 4 p.m. after he had seen the apartment to tell me that he had decided on getting it, and we only talked for 5 minutes. I pretended that I hadn't seen the messages because it was New Year's Eve and I didn't want to ruin the night. The next day as we were driving, I tried to see if he'd confess. So I casually asked him, "So, she said we looked cute together. Did you guys meet at all now considering it was holidays and stuff?" And he naturally replied, "Nah, we only talked a little on Messenger. She told me about her boyfriend. But no, generally. I didn't even have time to go out with her." He had plenty of time. He was free from work for 3 weeks, and there were no messages of her talking about her boyfriend who had a different name now surprisingly than in August, when my boyfriend told me about him again. He lied to my face, when he had no reason to. When I was always cool with him if he met his ex. Why did he hide it? Why did he text her the very same day that I left? Why did he promise to always be honest and not hide anything? And now did that? How am I supposed to trust him again? Ever. How am I supposed to trust myself not to go through his messages? I hate myself for doing it, and I don't want to be that girlfriend. But at least I got the truth from doing it when I could have been blind and getting a bad gut feeling, with no way to explain it, and tried to suppress it to not appear needy and insecure. I'm so torn, and I love him so much. I really thought like this could have been the real deal. Like we could have so much more to live. And I believe that he truly loves me, but that he loves her too. And I don't know what to do. I'm hurting so bad. I thought of leaving him a breakup letter. Is that a wise decision? Oh, the tangled webs we weave. Your boyfriend seems to have mastered the art of secret rendezvous. But unfortunately for him, not the art of a believable cover-up. It's like he attended the school of lame excuses. Firstly, kudos to you for resisting the urge to unleash your inner detective right away. But alas, The truth has a way of making itself known, especially when someone leaves their Facebook open for a little impromptu investigation. Now, the real head-scratcher is his motive. Why would he suddenly engage in covert operations with his ex while you're away, despite your past understanding and encouragement for him to be friends with them? It's like he's trying to win the Olympic gold in relationship gymnastics, a gold he should have left in the past. His blatant lie about not having time to meet up is, in a word, laughable. 3 weeks of freedom and he can't spare a coffee date? Maybe he's an undercover agent and the coffee shop is a front for some international intrigue. Or perhaps he's just an unreliable narrator in the story of his life. The real tragedy here is the broken trust, the shattered illusion of a relationship built on honesty. It's like finding out your favorite novel was written by a ghostwriter. You trusted him, and now he's turned the plot into a soap opera. As for the breakup letter, it might be more therapeutic for you than anything. Pour out your feelings, get it all down on paper, and then decide whether to send it or use it as kindling for the metaphorical bonfire of this relationship. Before we unravel the next chapter, let's take a pit stop at the community comments. Your thoughts and reactions are the heartbeat of our discussions. User EV862. I am a guy who is friends with a couple of my exes. When I meet with them, it is with my wife's full knowledge in some place very public, and if she calls, I always answer my phone. There are no secrets whatsoever, as it can easily become an issue. Also, if my wife ever felt threatened, my friendship would be cut off with them immediately. While they are friends, that's all they are. In this guy's case, I highly doubt that they are just friends. Either there is a lot more to their relationship, or you mean a lot less than you are led to believe. User albino redhead. Get out. He's lying about seeing his ex. That's enough. I really want to see you. Why is he even uttering those words to an ex? Manages 4 hours together for coffee. That's not adding up and seems more like a window for intercourse. Kiss emojis with his ex? What? I think there's a high chance that he's kept his ex around as a friend with benefits. They've probably had a deal for a long time now, before you all got together and never cut it off. You've only been together 6.5 months, which is not long at all in the grand scheme of things. I can't really discern the 2-month love confession soulmatey stuff, but it could be just what he's letting on to win your affection. Sorry, but this isn't good for a monogamous relationship. User 1892 Day Fiance. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I think the worst thing an SO can do is discover your scars, vow to protect you, and then cut them back open by doing the same shit. Do what feels right to you. If you need to leave him a letter because you don't have it in you to say the words out loud to him, then do it. There is no shame in writing out your feelings in order to convey them more clearly. If you feel you need to confront him face to face, then do that. It's okay either way, and it's what you are most comfortable with. As to whether he physically cheated on you, I don't think that makes such an enormous difference. He broke your trust either way by lying to you and by doing the one thing he promised he never would. I wish I could give you some magical reason to explain how he can look you in the eyes and tell you you're the one, and then turn right around and make plans with his ex and lie to you about it. But there isn't one. Sometimes people just suck and they break our hearts with little to no remorse or reason. I wish you the very best, and just know that though this is breaking your heart, it will not break you. We've had some fantastic insights in the comments, and now it's time to move on to our last captivating story. Get ready for another roller coaster of emotions. Am I the asshole? For my reaction to my fiancé Christmas gift? I've been going back and forth for days on whether or not I should post this, but I'll do just to get it out of my system. I've never been on Reddit before, so fair warning if I mess something up. I'm using a throwaway account because I'm embarrassed having to ask this question to begin with, so I'm going to leave some things vague on purpose. The only things that I'll admit is that I'm black, 26F. My fiancé is Caucasian, 27N, and he works in the tech industry. I'll call him Dave. So Dave and I decided to spend our Christmas with his parents, his 3 brothers, and their spouses. Dave got a huge bonus this year and told me he was going to go all out for me this year to make up for the past Christmases where we couldn't really afford anything. He asked me what I wanted, and I said I wanted a popular fuzzy bag that was making the rounds on social media. We all opened gifts on Christmas Eve. One of my SILs got a fur coat, the other an air fryer she really wanted, etc. When it came to my turn, Dave handed me his phone. I looked and thought I was going to see a track package page for the bag. Instead, all I saw was an art picture of a monkey that was supposed to look like me. I asked him what this was, and he said that was my gift. He then started explaining to me how he had gotten into investing earlier this year and had saved up to buy it for me. He then showed his family, who were just as flabbergasted as I was. I asked him how much money did he invest in this. He said $8K. Everyone started laughing, which made Dave mad and made me even more embarrassed. One of his brothers even brought up the point about how it was poor in taste to give a monkey picture to your black fiancé. Dave asked me if I was ever going to defend him, and at this point I was so humiliated that I just got up and locked myself in the bathroom for a good cry. An hour later, I called myself an Uber and booked myself a hotel until I could make it back home. Dave called me and said I was the asshole for bringing down the mood in his family's house and for being materialistic. I told him that all I wanted was a $200 bag, and he spent $8K on a monkey picture. He told me that he was investing in our future together and that I just couldn't see his vision. I'll admit that there were better ways I could have gone about reacting to the gift, and I do feel guilty about totally running off like that without any warning, but I was completely uncomfortable with the situation, and I didn't feel like staying around to be laughed at. Hold on to your seats. In the upcoming story update, we're weaving in more of your opinions. It's your chance to shape the narrative, so keep those insights flowing. Update. Aita for my reaction to my fiancé Christmas gift. Moving on to the story, Dave reached out to me on the 2nd asking if he could come over to the hotel to talk, and I agreed. The first thing out of his mouth was an apology. He said he wouldn't make any excuses and that he believes that he was for sure in the wrong. He said that after I left, his entire family yelled at him to make things right with me and that he missed me. The first thing I asked him was did he buy me the picture and not the bag? He said that at first he did try to buy me the bag, but it was sold out. He didn't know what else to get, but he knew I liked to draw and I have a fascination with art history. He admitted to me that his tech buddies also got their SOs customizable NFTs, and that it sounded like a good idea at the time. He also acknowledged that he was worried about the racial connection towards it, but his friends showed him the black celebrities that also bought the same NFTs, so they said that he was good. I then asked him why was he so upset with me and accused me of bringing down the mood when we last talked. He said that his brothers always made fun of him for getting a job in the tech field, and he thought that they were just doing it again by dragging me into it. It was also because he just sunk $8 into a gift that everybody laughed at. He said that his anger was badly misplaced, and that he was mad with his brothers for fanning the flames and not me. I told him that I was very upset at him for calling me materialistic, and said that it hurt that he thought of me that way. He admitted that he said that in anger and that he's sorry. He ever said it because he knew it wasn't true. At the time, he thought I was upset at the fact that I couldn't show off a physical gift like my SILs. He said that if he could take it all back, he would. He said that me leaving him made him think and that he'll do anything to save what we have. We've been together for 10 years and that he doesn't want to imagine a future without me. I know that a lot of people were telling me to leave, but in those 9 days that we were apart, my only concern was how to fix this and not break it further. I told Dave I forgave him and that I still want to get married. I did admit to him that I posted on here for judgment and he felt bad because he believes that I should have never thought of myself as the asshole for a minute. He did end up getting me a makeup gift. 2 Ohuhu sketchbooks and their 320 PC. Marker said I've had my eye on, so no major blowout happened. We talked, made up, and had a happy ending for the both of us. The man made a U-turn on Gift Street, and you, my friend, are now cruising down Reconciliation Boulevard. What a ride. I'm glad to see that Dave realized the error of his NFT buying ways. I mean, customizable NFTs for Christmas? That's like gifting someone a plot of virtual land on the moon. Sounds cool, but practically useless. And let's not forget his tech buddies influencing him. I can picture them sitting around sipping on artisanal kale smoothies saying, "Bro, just get her a virtual painting. It's the future." But hey, at least he listened to reason and got you some tangible artistic goodies in the end. Ohuhu sketchbooks and a 320-piece marker set? That's a man making amends. Way to pivot, Dave. It's also heartwarming that he apologized and acknowledged that he messed up. It takes a certain level of self-awareness to admit that your grand gesture turned into a grand disaster. The fact that he stood up to his tech buddies and acknowledged the racial sensitivity was a good move too. Bravo, Dave. Bravo. And kudos to you for not letting the court of public opinion dictate your relationship's fate. You took the wheel, made the decision that felt right for you, and decided to fix rather than toss the whole thing out. Relationships, like fine wine, sometimes need a bit of aging to reach their full potential. Before we end our adventure, let's tap into the wealth of opinions in the community comments. Your perspectives are like puzzle pieces that complete the story. User Sheep Godwiz. I cannot even fathom what was going on through his head when he bought it as a gift. Those monkey NFTs have almost zero artistic value, and pretty much anyone with eyes can see that. And I highly doubt that his tech buddies' SOs appreciated that junk, unless they were equally as into NFTs as they were. A normal person would rightfully think it's a scam. Glad it worked out for them, but can't help but feel not a single thought went into the gift. User Interval Faster. And most of the time, the art on OpenSea, for example, is stolen. I follow so many artists on Twitter, and it's a huge hassle and heartbreak to them. Imagine looking at an artist's stall and he offers you his painting for $250, but you actually get that painting to take home. It's yours proper. But that buyer scoffs, moves down to the dude that stole the painting with copy-paste, stores it on a shady page, and says, Not the painting is yours, but a receipt that says you purchased this is yours. It will cost you more and you have no physical piece of it. It's on this webpage, stored for you to look at. And people buy that shit. User Rando12FHA. It is a scam. It's money laundering. People used to, well, still do this with physical artwork as well. Need a way to make some clean explanation of money transfer? Why yes, this canvas is worth $3 million, and look, we have art experts we didn't bribe agreeing. Now the $3 million is valid, it's from that big art sale. Totally legit. The value isn't in the art, it's in the money transfer. And then you get poor idiots going, look, they paid $3 million for that, so this is worth it. Art forgery is on ongoing battle, but the experts and law enforcement are catching up. They'll catch up to the digital form too. As we wrap up this Reddit story, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more captivating Reddit stories. Your support means the world to me, I enjoy, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.